Let me ask you something. When you pull into a gas station today, do you look at the pump or do you look away? Because filling up your tank now feels painful. You already know what's coming. But 40 years ago, people didn't even think about gas prices. Gas stations weren't stressful places. They weren't something you rushed through. You didn't pull in already knowing how much it would hurt. You didn't stop halfway and think, should I really fill it up? Filling your tank was just another normal moment in the day, something you did without thinking twice. And that small difference, not thinking, changed how people lived. They didn't calculate, they didn't panic, they didn't check apps, they just drove. Today, we're going back in time to see what gas prices were really like 40 years ago, how far just $10 could take you, and how something as simple as filling your tank quietly changed everyday life. And trust me, this isn't just about fuel, it's about freedom. Let's set the scene. It's the early 1980s in America. Cars are bigger. Roads feel open. Families drive everywhere. There's no GPS, no traffic apps, no fuel alerts. Driving isn't stressful. It's normal. Gas stations aren't places you rush through. They're part of the routine, part of life. And most importantly, gas prices aren't something people argue about at dinner tables. Because back then, fuel didn't control your decisions. So, let's talk numbers. In the early 1980s, the average gas price in the United States was around $1.20 per gallon. To put that into perspective, most cars back then had bigger tanks than today. So when people stopped for gas, they didn't top off a little, they filled everything. A full tank meant freedom for days, sometimes weeks. Gas wasn't something you monitored, it wasn't something you optimized. It was simply there. Now pause for a second. That means with just $10, you could buy more than 8 gallons of gas. 8 gallons. Today, in many places, $10 doesn't even give you 3 gallons. But back then, $10 could almost fill up a typical car. And that single difference changes everything.
Gym floor slick and the band's real tight. Every cat in town showed up tonight. But one little chick's
Here's the part most people don't realize. It's not about the price alone. It's about what that price allowed people to do. With a full tank, families could drive across town without thinking, visit relatives every weekend, take spontaneous road trips, let teenagers cruise around without fear. Gas didn't limit life. Think about how different that feels. Parents didn't hesitate before saying yes to plans. Teenagers didn't worry about how much driving would cost. Nobody thought of gas as a luxury. It wasn't a decision, it was just part of life. And when something stops being a decision, life feels easier. People didn't ask, "Can we afford to drive there?" They asked, "Where should we go?" That feeling is hard to explain today, but it was real. Road trips were everywhere. Not luxury vacations, just driving. A few hours. No hotel planning, no fuel budgeting. You'd stop for gas, grab a soda, maybe a snack, and keep going. And because fuel was cheap, the road felt endless. Road trips weren't special events. They weren't something you planned for weeks. Sometimes they happened on a Friday afternoon. Sometimes just because the weather felt right. Gas didn't decide if the trip was possible, it only decided how far you wanted to go. Today, road trips feel like financial decisions. Back then, they felt like freedom. Gas wasn't a barrier, it was fuel, literally and emotionally. Now let's flip to today. Same car, same distance, same tank. But suddenly, you check prices, you delay trips, You rethink plans. You drive less. It's not that people love driving less today. It's that fuel changed the rules. What used to be a background detail became a constant calculation. And when fuel becomes expensive, life quietly shrinks. Think about it. Gas affects everything. Grocery prices, Walmart trips, weekend plans, visiting family, even job choices. 40 years ago, fuel didn't dictate daily life. Today, it does. That's why gas prices hit differently than almost anything else. They don't just cost money, they change behavior. When prices rise, people don't just drive less. They visit less. They explore less. They move less. And slowly, without even noticing, life becomes smaller. And here's the part that really matters. When people talk about gas prices today, they usually talk about money. But 40 years ago, gas prices weren't a money topic. They were a lifestyle detail. People didn't ask how much driving would cost this month. They didn't think about fuel as a limit. It was just there, like air or time or distance. And when something stops being a limit, people live differently. They say yes more often. They hesitate less. They explore without planning every step. Cheap gas didn't just make driving easier. It made life feel lighter. Because movement was simple. Visiting was simple. Leaving the house didn't require a calculation. Today, even small trips feel intentional. You think about the distance. You think about the cost. You think about whether it's really worth it. And slowly, those small thoughts add up. People don't stop living, but they live a little smaller. Fewer spontaneous visits, fewer unplanned drives, fewer moments that just happen. That's why gas prices feel emotional. Not because we miss cheap fuel, but because we miss how free movement once felt. Because when movement becomes expensive, freedom quietly changes. So when we talk about gas prices from the past, we're not just being nostalgic. We're remembering a time when movement was easier, when freedom felt lighter, when $10 meant possibility. And maybe that's why gas prices feel so emotional today. Because deep down, we're not missing cheap fuel. We're missing what it allowed us to do. So now I want to ask you, if gas prices suddenly dropped back to what they were 40 years ago, where would you drive first? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy these deep dives into how everyday life used to work, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.